All right, folks, welcome to the last instructional video for building our ranch house. We're going to put the final finishing touches on this and do some fascia and facades, both kind of related words that mean when you're doing something fake that doesn't really have anything to do with the structure of the building, but it's really there just for aesthetics. So think of like when you see a building, like Winco might even have this, where there's the front of the building and there's a big wall that goes up in front of the building to make it look bigger than it really is. But when you look behind the building, you'll see it's just this wall sticking up, right? That's a facade that is intended to make it look different than it really is. Fascia is the same thing. So fascia boards, for example, will go and cover these ends of the rafters just to give it a little bit better look. So we'll start with this by putting a sort of brick facade around this patio to hide the piers, make it look a little bit better. So we're going to need some measurements for this. And then it'll be pretty basic. So I'm going to measure from this point right here to that point. I believe it should be, it's 49.5, okay, because it was a 48-inch porch. And the other way is going to be, I hate that I have to click in an open area for this, but maybe escape works and I just haven't figured it out yet. And from there to way over here is 507 inches. All right. And then I kind of need to know how far it is to the ground. We're going to make it more than that. That distance is 29.5. So I'll make it 30 inches. Now, I'm hoping that it will go beyond these piers here so that it doesn't, maybe if I know what I can do is I can put a plane on here to see how far that goes. Or let's, yeah, you can see that the outside is going to come to this. So I have to make it wide enough, at least in the front, so it sticks out beyond this a little bit. So I'm going to make it go so it goes out. This is 3/4 of an inch right here. I'm going to make it stick out a little bit farther than that because I want to cover over those piers. And that's fine. We also are going to technically be illegal because we're going to put it into this stair spot, which makes this tread shorter than that tread, which is illegal, and we can't do that. But we're at the end, and we're going to do it anyway. All right, so I also need to know what the other side is over here and measure from there to there, which is 73.5. All right, here we go, folks. Let's start a new part studio. And we're going to make both of these. I might even make them both at the same time. So start a new part studio. And let's call this as brick facade, Facade. I'm going to call it front. So I'm going to do the front first, and then we'll make it to the back. All right, so I think I'll start sketching on the top view and we'll work our way down. Whoa, I don't know what that was. Okay, here we go. Sketch on the top view. N for normal, P for planes. And I think I'll start here. And I'm just going to make a line that comes out, make it straight, 49.5. Now that is to the end. We're going to go the inside dimensions. That one is going to be 507. Now hopefully your dimensions will match mine. If they don't, we're going to do it anyway. And we're going to come out here straight up the 49.5 again. All right. Now we're going to stick out a little bit on the sides. That's okay. It'll still look good. So we're going to offset. We're going to offset this line, and that line. And we are going to go outward. And when we pull that out, it's going to make a number that's bigger than what we want. Let's go ahead and make that, let's say it's a 2x4 width, make it 3.5. I just need to make sure it goes out beyond those pieces. Now, you know, I take this back. I'm going to make the back first, and there's a reason for that I'll talk about here in just a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change these. Am I out of my sketch? No. Still an offset. I'm going to change these two dimensions to 73.5. Go to the other side and do the same thing. All right. Now let's enclose these ends with the line. So we have an enclosed profile. All right, good. Don't worry that those blue lines are there as long as the inside dimensions work. And we're going to extrude that whole thing. Oops, finish sketch. And extrude that whole thing to 30 inches. All right, now this is brick. So let's choose a color that looks like brick. You know, maybe something like so. You choose what you like. All right. Now we're going to make a little pattern here. And we're going to zoom in and sketch on this front surface. And for normal, we're going to zoom, 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 zoom way in. Now let's say a brick. Let's start at the top and work our way down. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a couple of rectangles in here. We're going to start one at this corner and drag it. Now, let's estimate the size of a brick. Probably about 3 inches by 10 inches. Let's just call it that. I think it'll look good. We can adjust it later if we want. So I think I'm going to make it 10 inches long, and the other way will be 3. There we go. Now, we're going to offset that a little bit, and it should work. I may forget something here. We'll work on it. We'll work on it together. I'm going to offset this and that, and we're just going to go the outward just a little bit. Let's make it, all I want is those lines to show up. So let's make that 0.25, quarter of an inch. Now let's make it 0.5. All right. Now I do need to enclose those ends with the line because I'm going to go in just a little bit. Now, I wonder, I probably should have done the other side, but I think I can get away with this. I'm going to draw another rectangle. And that rectangle is going to be 0.5 by, it needs to be 3.5 long. And once I've got that, I'm going to change this. First I'm going to move it a little bit. And now I'm going to connect the middle of that to the middle of this. But I have to use points, right? So I'm going to put a point right in the middle of this spot and a point in the middle of that line. And we're going to connect those together with our coincident constraint. Coincident, that, and that. All right. Now, I don't know why that didn't turn black. It probably should have. Now, I'm going to make another rectangle. Whoops. I don't know what happened right there. Undo what I just did. Another rectangle. It goes in there. There we go. Now, it's going to be 10.5 long because we're making space right now. So when I click, I'm going to make it 10.5, and the other way is going to be 0.5. All right, so we should have just like this. I'm not sure why this is blue. It doesn't seem like anything should be able to move. Now, if I pattern this, that'll go up against the next one. I might have to fill in right here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to fill in my end. With a rectangle. Snap to that end. And I'm going to make it 0.5. I need to dimension that because it never got it. Or I can do a horizontal constraint. Let's just do that. Horizontal constraint between this and that. Uh-oh. Oh, it's wanting the ends. I know what I need to do is put a horizontal constraint and choose the two endpoints. Huh. Not sure why that's not working. Okay, I'll dimension it from there to there. That's 0.5. All right. Now this should work out as a brick pattern. Let's find out. And we're going to extrude. So I'm going to finish my sketch. Now if this doesn't work out, we can always play around with it and see what happens. So I'm going to extrude this because I'm honestly not positive I have it right. I'm going to choose all of those and I'm going to remove. And let's remove about 1/4 of an inch, 0.25. Okay. And now we have our pattern. And what we should be able to do now is to pattern that until it shows up everywhere. Let's see what happens when we do that. We're going to make a linear pattern. We're going to go the direction. Whoops, I did not want to choose part 1. That is not what I wanted. I want a feature pattern. My feature that I want to pattern is this extrusion. The direction I want to go is what we've done before with something like that. And I want my distance to be, it's either 10 or 10.5. Let's try that. Now it's going to be 10.5. Now the reason why it's red is because I need to say apply per instance, and then it should be good. And I need to go a second direction, where we're going to go down. Right now it's showing it as an inch. I'm going to go, I don't know what my distance is. I think it's 3. I think it's 3 plus 3 plus 1. I believe it's 7. And my instance count, let's try 3 and see what happens. Yes, 7 works. All right. Now, this will be buried into the bottom, but we should be able to, as long as we have apply per instance, it should go ahead and do that. And now we're just going to do our other way from 2 to lots until it covers this whole thing. That looks pretty cool, I got to admit. I didn't do this ahead of time, you guys. So this is actually looking pretty slick. My computer's struggling to keep up. And after waiting for a lot of the spinning wheel of death, it did finally go. 50 worked out, so that's looking pretty good. All right, now that's pretty cool. What I'm going to do is, rather than reinvent the wheel, we'll do that same thing on the right. So we will come over here. Now, rather than do all that again, I'm going to copy this sketch. Okay, we're going to then do a new sketch over here and hopefully paste it. Paste sketch entities. There we go. And then finally we're going to do a coincident constraint. Coincident between this point, and that's looking good there. Now, the reality is that this would be a short end, and this would be, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing that. So let's go ahead and finish this, and we're going to extrude that shape, that shape, that shape, and that shape, and we're going to remove it for 1/4 of an inch, just like the other side. All right, looking good. So now we will pattern that. We're going to pattern, is it sketch 3? I'm going to pattern, not a part pattern, but a feature pattern, extrude 3. Our direction is going to be like so. And we're going to go, our distance is 10.5. Our count, oops, got to hit apply for instance. Our count is going to be, I don't know, 5 or 6. Looks like 8 will work. Oh, I didn't notice it had this little gap in it like that before. Huh. Is that true on the front? No. So why is that true here? It shouldn't be true here. Okay, that's weird. I don't know why that's different this time. Maybe it moved. So if you're having that problem, maybe it moved. I'm going to try that again. I wonder if, oh, I see. No, that shouldn't matter that it has those little gaps in it. Huh, I'm going to go forward. Do that same thing again. Go. All right. If you have little gaps, don't worry about it. We're trying to make this look good, so so don't worry if it's not perfect. I'm going to choose extrude 3, going to go in this direction. I remember that I'm going to try 10.25. You might play around with it too if you've got something different. I don't know why that's happening that way, but this will work. We're going to go that direction, and 8 if I recall, and we'll apply per instance. And that's looking pretty good. So, and then we will go a second direction, which is that way. Distance of 7 if I remember correctly, and my instance cal will be like 4. Why is it not showing? Oh, it just took a minute for it to show up. All right, looking good. Now, rather than do that whole thing on the other side, what we're going to do is we're just going to mirror that. So we're going to make a new plane, make a plane. We're going to make a mid-plane that is in between. Choose a flat surface on this side and the flat surface on the other side. That will put a plane right in the middle. Okay, and now we're going to mirror these. We're going to do a feature mirror, and we're going to choose this extrude and this linear pattern. Our mirror plane is going to be that plane that we just made, and it should, oops, why is it not? I have extrude 3 and linear pattern. Maybe when I hit the check mark it'll show up. Not sure why the whole thing didn't show up. I'm going to try that again, because it should show that whole thing. Let's try that again. Mirror. I am going to do a feature mirror. The features that I want are this extrude and this linear pattern. The mirror plane is going to be this guy. And it's not showing up. Well, I'm going to keep that. And if you're having problems, folks, just try and fix it. Maybe I can take this and pattern that. Let's try it. Make a linear pattern out of this mirror. It has to be a feature pattern of that. Let's try it. It'll work out. Going that way. Flipping the direction though. I did 10.25 the last time, so might as well be consistent, and I believe we did 8. Good. Then we're going, we need to hit apply per instance. It's working out. Then we're going to go a second direction. That way, our distance was 7, and we need 4. It'll take a second for it to show up. And finally, we're good. All right, now before installing this, I'm going to turn off the plane. Now, there's a reason why I made this first one like this, because I'm just going to make the back one shorter. There's an easy way to do that. So I'm going to right-click on this brick facade front. I'm going to make a copy. There's my copy. Or duplicate. Am I missing it? There it is. Jeez. And I have copy, right? So let's rename the copy to brick facade back. And we're waiting. Finally, it's having to render all these little notches and things, which takes a while. I'm going to go all the way back to sketch 1 now on this. Double click on it. I'm going to change these 73.5s to 49.5 and hope everything works out. Now, if I end up with red, there's a different way of doing it. Sometimes when you mess with things that you've made patterns and other things, it's going to say you can't do that because mathematically it doesn't like it. But I hit the check mark. We're going to see if that works. If I get a bunch of red, I can hit undo. And we're waiting. And it worked out. So if it doesn't, I actually realized that I reversed these things. The front is the back and the back is the front. So whoops, because the longer one is in the back and the other one's in the front. I'm just going to leave the name that way. So I know which is which, and that's okay, and you know too. If this didn't work out for you, the other thing that you can do is you can actually do a direct edit. You could have done this to each side where it's this guy right here, which is thicken. So you could actually say, oh, I want to thicken, and you grab a face, and you can take that face and, like, let's say I wanted to make that longer. in my direction 1, I can make it, let's make it 20 just to see what that looks like, and remove, and it will take away 20 inches worth of material. So you can do it that way if the other way wasn't working. All right, let's install these things, shall we? And then we only have one more thing to do. Now, I put the back as the front and the front as the back. Whoops, but I'm not going to change the names. So I'm going to insert my brick facade front, which is actually the back. Insert it in here. Okay. While I'm at it, I'll do the front. Which one? Now I don't remember which one I just put in. I just put in. Okay, I'm going to do one thing at a time, so I don't mess this up. So I am at the, which I called part 1. It's the longer one. You just have to remember which one's the longer one and which one's the shorter one. Now I'm going to connect that. I'm going to be easy on myself, and I'm just going to connect it by choosing a side that I know will fit. Well, why don't I move this around so I can see what it's going to look like. So I'm going to flip it around. There we go. Now I'm going to choose the inside up here for a fasten. Up there in the corner. And then I'm going to choose right below the decking. We want it not with the decking, but down here on this board. Right there. And did we make it thick enough to hide things? Yes. Very nice. All right, let's put the back that I supposed to be in the front in now. Insert the back that is really the front. Do the same thing. And choose the corner. Good. Choose the corner that it's going to go to. And we've got our nice looking brick facade in the front. Very, very nice. That looks pretty cool. And for me, it kind of matches the front door, which, remember, I said I like craftsman style, so I made myself a craftsman style door. Now, I told you we were going to make some fascia boards, which I'm going to leave that totally optional. If you want to put those finishing touches on, my intent was to kind of come over in here, make a part in context that will go up here. Well, I'll show you, and you can fast forward a little bit if you want. But my intent was to put a connector here, draw a little board that covers over these ends, and extrude that down so we hide the ends of the rafters. But this video has gotten long enough, so that's something you can do on your own if you want. But let's do this. Let's get our final picture in there. You should have windows and stuff with our brick facade. I would like you to turn with this little cube over here and turn it on to shaded without edges, because I think it looks a little better that way. If you don't, you can do it either way you want. And get me a final picture of that house that looks good, ready to move in, except we don't have any interior walls or furniture or counters or toilets or bathtubs or any of that stuff. But here we go. So, folks, I hope you learned something. I hope it was fun. Hope you're kind of proud of it. I am. I didn't know how this would turn out when I started, and it's turned out really well. And I think we learned something, and it was kind of a cool project. So, hope you have fun with it too. Be aware that next class is just a check-in. So I will see you there for that. Good job. See you next time.